Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for being here today. I think this is one of the best ways that we get to meet with constituents and have conversations with people. As Mr. The good person just mentioned, I do. As Ed just mentioned, I sit on Health and Welfare Committee. I do serve on the Ethics Committee, the Business Committee, Environment, Energy, and Technology. And I also sit on the Medicaid Review Panel, and then I do co-chair the JLOC, the Joint Legislative Oversight Committee, as well as I co-chair the Millennium Fund. So I appreciate everyone being out here, and I think probably just from the jump I would mention, it's been a busy legislative session, and some of those things we've been working on would be House Bill 138, and I would love to kind of explain a little bit about what House Bill 138 does. We were able to move through the Health and Welfare Committee as well as off the House floor. So since I started in the legislature, I remember one of the first committees I sat on was a joint committee with the Senate Health and Welfare and the House Health and Welfare Committee. We were dealing with Medicaid expansion and the growth of the program. There was a lot of senior members there that had, they were worried about the growth.
Now, pause it there for a moment. If you could kind of explain what just happened with that video, what was shown on video here.
So what happened was Mr. Lockwood, who was in charge of the 3 video cameras I spoke about yesterday, came up and adjusted the camera, turning it more towards the area that Teresa had sat down in. So you could actually see him prior to this. He's back up at one of the cameras to the right side, and then you will see him kind of duck down so he's not in people's way, and then walk off screen in the CCTV footage from the school. You're able to see him walk all the way down, go to the camera, turn the camera so that it now provides you with this view, which Teresa is now in.
Were you able to identify any other basis that Ms. Borrenphol's arrival at this event during your investigation for why that camera was adjusted? Objection, calls respect to that.
There had been no other people that had walked into that area, so the likely assumption is that it was due to Teresa sitting there.
The program, and if it was to be sustainable long term. The last 2 years I've been down there, different members of the legislature have ran bills to repeal Medicaid expansion. And my thought behind that was, what if we can keep Medicaid expansion but put checks and balances?
So that was that one of the first disruptions after Teresa Borrenphol arrived during this meeting?
That is correct.
Were you able to identify if that was Teresa that said that or someone else?
I did not identify who had stated that.
In place and make a program that's more sustainable, has accountability built in, and can really benefit and be that safety net for many people. So I crafted a bill that dealt with all those things. We have much better sustainability through it. We need to request waivers from the federal government, but one of those waivers would be, an ability to get people onto private insurance while still offering an advanced payment tax credit, which would bring their premium down to just dollars a month for better coverage, better accessibility coverage. And I guess to speak to that too, that would really be able to look at the exchange population. The exchange population is something that we don't really write health insurance in my agency. I actually, because of those questions, I look back to see what was the last policy we wrote 7 years ago. And we have one policy on the books. So this is not our space that we work in at all. Another thought we had behind that was putting in a work requirement, but with that work requirement, because again, in this expansion population, we're talking about able-bodied adults, right? This is not
Ladies and gentlemen, for goodness sakes, we're here to listen. If you can't hold your tongue while you're talking, then shut the hell up or get the hell out. They also went out. You weren't elected to anything. They were. So let them talk.
So again, we're talking about able-bodied adults. These are folks that can work. We actually made that policy pretty.
Briefly, Chief, though, that voice that interjected, were you able to identify who that was?
The MC or the actual person
The
that
MC.
was shot?
Well, let's start with the MC.
The MC was Ed Banaraha. I mispronouncing his name, but he was the MC during the entire event.
And were you able to identify the other disruptions, like single source, multiple people? What were you able to find?
There were multiple people shouting during that time frame.
We asked for 20 hours of either work, volunteer service, or some kind of study and training. Those would be dealt with by the Department of Health and Welfare. So we try to expand that to allow for folks just to be doing something in the community, right? And again, I wanted to express again, we're not talking about disabled people. We're not talking about kids. We're not talking about pregnant women. We're not talking about any of that. This will be, and when we look at what the Millman study was when it passed through the ballot initiative, they anticipated that this year it would be $510 million. The governor's request for the budget for Medicaid expansion was $1.36 billion, almost $1 billion over what was originally projected. So this bill truly is set up to keep Medicaid expansion, but put checks and balances in place so that we can actually have a program that's sustainable and has long-term vision for citizen legislature and filing this.
Damn right.
And we fight it out.
Chief Haley, during your investigation, were you identified three passing?
Based on the voice, I believe it was Teresa Borrenphol.
That's what it's supposed to work. Sometimes we still messy. Anyway, I'll stop and turn it over to
Bill Hart stole from public land.
Everybody pay attention to the bills are over here in the corner, wants attention. Everybody get your attention. Everybody look, everybody applause. Yay! Woo! Once you get up, it's really loud. That's impressive. Okay, Tony, you here? You know yourself, right?
And just to clarify, again, those statements, and then prior to the MC, I think her on, I believe, interjecting, who was that?
That was Teresa Borrenphol.
Tony was born in Los Angeles, California, and received a BS in mechanical engineering from Utah State University. He has been a small business owner and has worked in the nuclear, aerospace, computer, and industrial equipment manufacturing fields for most of his career. Tony lives in Post Falls with his wife, Melanie, having 5 children and many grandchildren. There are now 3 generations of his family that live here. He is actively engaged in almost every facet of the party, including committee positions, public events, and involvement at state committee meetings. Tony was elected in 2018 to the Idaho House of Representatives and currently is vice chair of the Commerce and Human Resources Committee as well, as serving on the Education Committee and the Environment, Energy, and Technology Committee. Tony is committed to vocational and technical training as a viable alternative to a college degree. He also believes the primary function of government is to protect the lives of its citizens with equal justice, which includes the unborn and the elderly. He supports school choice, healthcare freedom, and property rights. Tony, all the way.
Thank you. It's very easy for me to see that there's this much civic involvement in this. Mentioned that I was interested in freedom and the medical field. One of the issues that we're fighting for this time is something that I worked on for the last 2 years, so 2023, 2024. It's the Medical Police Defense Act. Basically what this is it protects doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals from performing either counseling, prescriptions, or surgery on medical processes that they will disagree with. You can see where this is leading to. There are issues or potential crossbreeding of human genes and animal genes. That's not part of the picture.
Serious right now? That is ridiculous.
So before proceeding with the rest of the video, that last interjection where somebody says that's ridiculous, were you able to identify the source of that?
No, that's an unknown person.
It clarifies it. During your investigation, that did not seem to come from Teresa Borrenphol.
That was not from Teresa.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Let them talk.
The state has had a very strong medical protection against abortion since about 1970 years.
Women are dying.
Ever since the Bill versus Wade, so doctors are protected against
All right, hold on one moment here. Okay, again, you folks were just popping off with stupid remarks. You're not taking into account the people sitting next to you. There's a bunch of people that came here to hear them. There's an opportunity for you to sound off, but not right now. And because you're not smart enough to know that, you're just crazy people. And we're going to right now.
Clarify again, the individual wearing the hat that just approached where Teresa's sitting, who is that person?
That is Sheriff Robert Norris.
Were you able to identify the other individuals just immediately to his left and to his right in this portion of the video?
Yes, I was.
And you can identify who they were.
On the right, the taller male is Jesse Jones, and on the left, the shorter male is Christopher Bird.
Got up, and then Sheriff Norris stepped into work. Exactly, was that individual?
The individual that's from the seats right next to Teresa or close by, that would be Greg Johnson.
So, yes, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. I promise. We'll get to it. Let's get a chance. But, you know, the problem is the folks, look at that. Oh, he's showing how to touch this. Is there's a whole bunch of great things that are happening. But the problem is we got a bunch of rabble rousers who just won't allow to explain it. So, the thing is, what I'm doing up here is I'm simply over talking you because your voice is meaningless right now. And we're just taking care of where these folks are trying to filibuster and shut this whole program down. Unfortunately, we're being successful. So all of you who came here to hear the legislators, I applaud you for sitting there and quietly listening. I promise we will get back to you. In the meantime, we've just got to be aggressive with some of these folks here.
We're able to identify who that person was that's now approaching where this interaction is taking place.
Yeah, if you're able to see that right, underneath it would be the window on the right from the booth in the back, just in that lower right-hand corner. That is where the person's head is right now. That is the defendant, Paul Trouette.
And now, Chief Haley, one other thing I'd like to thank you before we pause for your purposes. We'll come back to you a little bit later on, but this one is State's Exhibit 24, 24B, which is this vantage point from the same camera, but after the resumption of the meeting.
And I'm sorry, what exhibit was this?
This is 24B, total runtime 5 minutes 45 seconds.
And you're seeking to have this published?
Yes, Your Honor, with your permission.
Any objection, Mr. Hanners?
No objection, Your Honor.
24B shall be published.
Nobody comes to the floor, but I can't see anybody. If the colleges don't have enough sense to stop having drag shows or still want to advocate for DEI, but if those budgets wouldn't have passed, what would happen? We would kick it back to JFAT, we'd slug it out again, change a figure and bring it back again. It's a rigorous process that I think the best outcomes are achieved. I just want to say that we support everybody. We support. I don't want to get too crazy here. The budget is going well. We made some big changes. We've talked about all this medical stuff. It's good for keeping it on. We are, believe it or not, 50th in the country. Right? If we still have 50 states, we're dead last when it comes to doctors, to our population. So we're doing as much as we can to kind of affect that in a positive way. That means funding residency programs and, actually spending money. There is a place for government, and appropriately utilizing can do really good things with the populace. But that's one of the things we're working on. And I think at this point, I'm going to just be quiet and let the people say it.
All right, thank you. Yeah. First of all, I just thought it'd be cool to read. This is a social media post from the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Congratulations to Governor Brownville and Idaho legislators who are fighting to bring school choice to their beautiful state. $50 million to empower parents to provide the very best education for their child. Great news for Idaho families. This bill, which has my complete and total support, must pass.
couple questions for Chief Haley with regard to that video. I think it's safe to say that there were multiple disruptions after the event resumed, both in support and in opposition to what was being said.
That would be correct.
In your review of not only this video, but any of the admitted exhibits thus far, did you see any of those people, whether they were in support or opposition, be required to leave the event?
No, they were not.
Do you see any of them get dragged out of the event?
No, they were not.
That's all the questions I have for Chief Haley this time. Subject.
Cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge, I believe Mr. Hunter would like to call another witness now, and then he's going to recall Chief Haley, and so I would reserve my cross for the end of Chief Haley's testimony.
Thank you. Chief Haley, you can return with counsel, subject to recall. And so, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, just like we discussed yesterday, we're taking the witnesses a bit out of order. Normally, Mr. Hanners would cross-examine Chief Haley. However, the state has requested to call witnesses out of order and pursuant to that discussion, and I've agreed to that. And so the state will call in a different witness. Chief Haley will be subject to recall for cross-examination a little bit later. Mr. Hunter, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. This time, state will call Teresa Borrenphol.
Ma'am, you've been called as a witness. You'll make your way all the way over here. I'll have you sworn in by Madam Clerk. If you'll approach, raise your right hand and raise your hands.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to offer today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Then if you'll make your way all the way over here to the witness stand. Have a seat, make yourself comfortable. And when you're ready, Mr. Hunter, you may inquire of the witness.
Thank you. Well, good morning. Thank you for being here. Start out by please stating your full name, so your last name for the record.
Teresa Borrenphol, Borrenphol.
And you prefer Teresa or Borrenphol? So Teresa, tell us a little bit about yourself, starting with where you currently live, just what city.
I live in Bushnell.
How long have you lived there?
I've lived there for just over a decade.
And where did you live before that?
We moved up here from southern Idaho, from high school to
How long did you spend in southern Idaho?
We lived in Pocatello for about 4 years.
What were you doing while you lived there in that hotel?
I worked at Idaho State University.
And so that brings me to it. What's your occupation?
I'm the director of operations for a medical school.
How long have you been in that role currently?
I've worked in medical school for 3 years now.
What brought you to that?
I really love the mission. At the medical school I work with, we work to get doctors into
Assisting.
So you mentioned that you lived in Pocatello for 4 years. Were you working in that capacity in Pocatello?
I worked in the College of Education.
And originally prior to that?
Well, I'm originally from
It's relevant.
It's foundational for the witness. I think the jury should get to know her before they hear her testimony.
The objection is sustained.
And so So, what brought you specifically to Idaho?
My husband is a fly fisherman, I'm a whitewater raptor.
There's been some testimony relating to the witness's residence and overall objection.
We both love to ski, so arguably Idaho is the best place for all of those things. We love it here.
And just briefly pursuant to your position working with medical schools, what is your level of education? What degrees do you hold?
I hold a bachelor's, a bachelor's in economics. I have a master's degree in public administration. I have a doctorate in education administration.
And let's talk about kind of outside of work activities. Are you involved in community activities at all?
I am. I'm really involved in civic engagement, so helping people identify if they, want to run for office, and helping with campaigns and things like that.
Have you ever run for office yourself?
I have.
And which offices and when?
I ran for the Idaho House of Representatives for District 5, which is Post Falls. I did that in 3 separate years.
Would you safe to say you kind of had your name out there, put it out during those campaigns?
Yes.
Now, are you familiar with Kootenai County Sheriff Robert Morris?
I am.
And how are you familiar with him?
He ran for office and was elected.
In February 2025, over that time frame, did you have reason to believe that he knew who you were?
I do.
And what led you to that belief?
I had attended a town hall in May 2023, and he and I had a personal interaction where we introduced ourselves to one another. There was also another event that we had both attended. After that event, we had a conversation one-on-one, and he's mentioned me in some of his speeches.
And so before, specifically February 22nd, 2025, which is the date we're going to talk about here in detail in a moment, but prior to that date, how would you describe those interactions, just in general terms, that you had with the sheriff of Kootenai County?
Unfortunately, they were mostly negative.
Now, on that date, February 22nd of 2025, do you recall the events of that date? And did you attend a town hall event that was held at Fort Wayne High School around 12:30? So I want to ask you some questions about how you first learned about that event. How did you hear about it?
I learned about it on social media.
And what specifically did you see on social media about the event?
I saw a post that there was going to be a legislative town hall, had the date and the location and time.
And that looked like you State's Exhibit 1 and your resolution to approach.
You may.
I'm handing you an admitted as State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize that item?
I do.
And is that the same post that you saw that informed you of this town hall event that's going to be held on the 22nd of February?
It is.
Now, based on that flyer that you saw, what was your understanding of the nature of the event?
Well, I understand a town hall to be a place where the community gathers and interacts with their elected officials, so that was my anticipation.
Based on that advertisement, did you understand it to be a public event?
I did, yes.
You attended, I think you mentioned attending a town hall in 2023, but was that the town hall put on by the same entity as was putting on this one, KCRCC or Kootenai County Republican Central Committee?
That was a different one. That one was actually put on by the sheriff's office.
Okay. Have you previously attended a KCRCC sponsored town hall prior to this one?
I had attended one.
Where was that held?
That was held at a local church.
And about what time frame did you attend that prior town hall, if you recall?
It was during the legislative session again, it was legislators, and I think it was 2023.
As far as you recall, were there private security present at that event?
I don't recall any private security at that time.
And so, after learning about this, town hall was going to take place on February 22nd at Coeur d'Alene High School this year. Did you actually attend that event? Did you attend the event that was advertised there, Stacy did it one?
I did, yes.
Before doing so, did you have to obtain a ticket or reserve a seat or take any other action of that kind?
There were no actions that we had to take.
And I believe shown on State's Exhibit 1, the event was advertised to begin at about 12:30. Is that what time you arrived for the event, or when did you arrive?
I did not arrive at 12:30. I got to the high school parking lot at about 12:40.
And why was that?
Embarrassingly, I went to the wrong high school. It was across town.
And so the travel time to then get over to Coeur d'Alene High School was about 10 minutes, 15 minutes later you arrived.
Exactly.
When you entered the school itself, was there any kind of security screenings or security checks? Anybody there telling you in terms of rules and restrictions?
No.
When you entered the auditorium, same question. Any kind of personnel there doing security screenings, security checks, or informing you of any restrictions or rules?
There was nobody there telling me about that.
So far as you recall, when you entered the building and went in through the auditorium, did you see anything posted? Any kind of signage or posting outlining rules, regulations, restrictions, anything of that nature?
I did not see any signs.
When you got into the auditorium, where did you sit?
The auditorium has an upper section and a lower section. I sat in the lower section, and then it's divided, I think, into thirds, and I sat on the farthest third from
So if you're facing the stage, that would be the furthest left-hand section.
Correct.
When you got there, maybe not this question, but had the program already begun?
Program had started, yes.
And just rough estimate, as far as you can tell, how many people were in attendance?
There was a lot of people there, probably about 450 people.
And just talking about when you first arrived, and as you were getting to your seat, did you see whether Sheriff Norris was in attendance at that time?
I had not seen Sheriff Norris on my way to my seat.
Now, once you arrived and got settled, describe what the atmosphere was like for this meeting for several minutes that you were there.
Yeah, when I arrived, I think I was there just as a transition between speakers because it was kind of a lull on my way to the seat. But over the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes, as speakers started speaking again, it was very lively.
Describe what you mean by lively.
There were people that were reacting to what the legislators were saying, in some cases positive and in some cases negative.
Did you at any point join in with those, reactions that people were making? Do you recall what comments specifically you made during that portion of the event?
There was one comment that I had made. There's a gentleman named Ron Mendyke. He's a representative, and he was talking about his support for public lands. And at the end of his speech, I had said Phil Hart stole from public lands because there was another legislator on the stage who had been found guilty of stealing timber from our public lands and building a house out of them. And so I was highlighting that hypocrisy.
Now, with all the various comments that you might have made, but let me back to Vanessa's question. Did you make additional comments about needing to identify exactly what was said?
I did.
Through those comments, what, if anything, was your goal? What were you trying to accomplish?
Well, as I had shared, there was positive and negative comments being shared. There was also a lot of applause. And this was a town hall, so my hope for our elected officials is that they would leave the town hall knowing kind of the temperature of the community. And so if there were positives being shared, I wanted to make sure that they knew that there were, other opinions in the audience as well.
So was it in any way your goal to prevent the meeting from proceeding?
No.
Was your goal to prevent the legislators from speaking? Now, during this meeting, there was a moderator, is that your recollection? And did you know who that moderator was at that time?
I did, yes.
Did you know his name?
Yes.
I apologize for making the attempt. Everybody's recognizing it's somewhat of a difficult last name, but do you recall what that name was?
It's Ed Bejarana.
I think that's the right way to say it. I might be wrong too. And that moderator, did he seem to respond to the disruptions of the crowd?
Not very often. I can recall him reacting to two disruptions.
And so far as you can tell, were those disruptions in the nature of comments that were for what the legislators are saying or against?
I only heard him respond to comments against. He never stopped with applause.
During any of his interjections, did he identify you specifically?
He did.
And recall, if you recall, what was that like?
Well, the first time he did it, I had made a comment, and he directed the audience to look at me. He said, "Everyone look at the attention seeker. Everyone clap for her."
How did it feel?
It was very embarrassing. It was humiliating to be called out in a group like that.
Did you single out anybody else in the same manner? And at some point after that first, when we were singled out, do you recall somebody approaching you?
I was. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. We'll be a little bit more specific with it. At some point, following the wall, there was another disruption taking place. The crowd was cheering, clapping. Were you approached by someone who asked you to leave?
I don't recall being approached by anyone who asked me to leave before Sheriff Morris.
Okay, so that's wrong. I guess that's the question. Did Sheriff Morris approach you?
Sheriff Morris did approach me, yes.
Did you recognize him as Sheriff Morris first?
I did not know him to be Sheriff Morris at first.
And explain to the jury why you didn't immediately recognize him as Sheriff Morris.
I didn't immediately recognize him as Sheriff Norris because, number one, it was dark in the auditorium. He was wearing like denim jeans, a hoodie, and then there was also a baseball cap. So it didn't immediately strike me as out of context.
And so based on that, would you call it casual attire, did you believe that he was on duty at that time?
Once I recognized who it was, I did not believe he was on duty at that time.
And what do you recall him saying to you or telling you or asking you to do at that point?
He said that I needed to get up or be arrested.
Did he say at any point why you might be arrested?
He did not.
Did he say what law you had allegedly violated?
He did not.
Did any point you say he was acting on behalf of the event organizers?
He did not say that.
Up to that point, had the MC or any of the other event organizers asked you to leave specifically?
No.
Did he say he was acting on behalf of the school district or the board of trustees?
He did not.
So when he asked you to get up or be arrested, how did you respond?
Well, at first I didn't hear him because it was very loud in the auditorium, but MC was kind of riling up the crowd, and so I said, huh? And then he repeated it again. And then I had asked if this was his jurisdiction.
Now explain, if you would, Richard, why you asked that question.
Because I understood myself to be in the city of Coeur d'Alene, and I understood the jurisdiction to be the Coeur d'Alene Police Department.
Did you have any prior familiarity with policies and procedures regarding school property or the school policies and procedures prior to that point?
I did, yeah. I volunteered a lot for campaigns, specifically as I pertain to education. So a lot of times our schools are also used as polling locations. And so people will go to the schools on election day and hold up signs for or against a candidate or an initiative. And that's not allowed. And so I know the policy to be that you contact the school principal when there's election day on site. And I know that to be the policy during school hours, and elections typically go until 8 o'clock at night in Cooney County, or the state of Idaho. So that's how I knew the policy that it needed to, that I didn't know Sheriff Norris to be an employee of the school district or a Coeur d'Alene Police Department.
He, or so far as you recall, anyone else, give you any warnings about your conduct specifically, indicating that you might need to leave, or if you continued with anything that was identified? So once you realized who he was the sheriff, why did you refuse to leave?
Well, I didn't leave because I didn't know him to be an employee of the school district, and I didn't leave because I didn't know him to be a member of the Coeur d'Alene Police Department.
I just want to clarify that specific point. So when, after he asked you to leave, what's your recollection? What happened next?
Next, he asked the gentleman sitting next to me, or one chair away from me, to get up and go to the aisle.
And then what took place?
And then he stated that he was asking me to leave, and he grabbed both my wrist, twisted it, and then he grabbed my shoulder with his other arm and started pulling on me.
Now, when he grabbed you first, what do you recall doing in response to that?
I just asked him to please not touch me.
Did you at all try to fight him, swinging, kicking, anything like that?
No.
And did he honor your request not to be touched at that point?
He did not.
Did he make any statements while he was doing so that you perceived as any form of threat?
He did.
What was that?
He said, do you want bigger spray? Or do you want pepper spray? Excuse me.
What went through your mind when you said that?
I was shocked. I think in that moment I recognized that this wasn't going to de-escalate. You know, we're in a room of 400 plus people, and to use pepper spray on me was to use pepper spray on the entire auditorium. I could tell it was a defensive comment.
And so kind of backing up a little bit, when Sheriff Norris first approached you, did you notice anyone else with him in that moment?
Not at that moment. I was primarily looking forward.
Did you become aware of any other individuals that became involved after the sheriff initially interacted with you? Describe how that took place.
So the sheriff took a camera from somebody and walked about 3 rows in front of where I was sitting and fixed the camera on me, and 2 gentlemen entered the aisle that I was sitting in.
Do you know who those men were?
I did not know who those men were.
Were those unidentified men wearing any identification, name badge, ID badge, any form of badge?
They were not.
Did you ask them for a badge?
Yes, I asked them who they were, and I asked them to give me their badge. And I asked them if they were deputies.
Did they respond to any of those questions? Did they, at any point, tell you who they worked for?
They did not.
And either prior to or as those unidentified men were approaching you, did your Sheriff Norris give them any, as far as you can tell, any kind of instruction or command?
I just heard them say, "Get her."
So now, if you would describe, as best as your recollection allows, what happened once those men approached you?
When the men approached me, they started grabbing at my arms, and I was asking them who they were. They were not telling me who they were. So at that point, I was pulling my arms away, trying to deflect their grabs.
Did that work?
It did. They grabbed me more forcefully. They twisted my arm, and then they pushed me to the ground, grabbing my breast.
During that initial portion of this interaction with unidentified men, do you recall how many there were?
There were two.
At some point, was there any additional individuals involved?
There was a third person that had come over, when the two were kind of struggling to get me on the ground. Another gentleman came and he pulled my arm really forcefully.
And do you see that person present here in court currently?
Yes.
Can you go ahead and identify where he's seated and I don't know things were?
Yeah, it was this gentleman with the black vest on, black jacket on.
Is the record to reflect the witness that is identified?
So reflect.
So as you were being pulled from that seating area, where did you end up?
I ended up face down in the middle of the aisle.
During the process of these unidentified men pulling you from your seat into the aisle, what, if anything, were you saying?
I kept asking them who they were, and the people around me were elevating that same message. Who are you? Who are these men? And I never got a response.
What was going through your head in that moment? What were you thinking about?
I was thinking that I wanted to stay in the auditorium for as long as possible, because these men were so brazenly assaulting me. I didn't know what they would do if they got me alone.
Is that why you continued to resist? And that touching that took place, and I'm pulling on you, grabbing you, forcing you onto the ground. Physically, how did that feel?
And it was incredibly painful. There was a lot of adrenaline at the same time. I just remember it getting tighter and tighter and tighter, the grip. They were pulling my hair. And when I was face down on the ground, one man was fully sitting on my buttocks, and the other man kneeled with his knee between my shoulder blades.
During that initial portion, before you were face down on the ground, I guess you probably didn't see anything else. Were you aware of what the sheriff was doing during that time?
I was not. I was just trying to keep my airway open.
Was that due to these unidentified men kneeling and leaning on you?
Yeah, when I had fallen to the ground, I pulled my arms in, and so my face was pressed up against my chin. And I was just focused on keeping my arms as tight as possible so that my face didn't touch the ground.
And from there, describe your recollection of what happened
At some point in time, I was flipped back over, but there was no care for me, and I fell back down backwards. And I believe that's when another gentleman came over and they were able to secure my arms.
What did they do with you at that point?
That's when they started tracking me out of the auditorium.
If I may,
You may.
Teresa, I've handed you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 18. Now, just to confirm that, obviously not photos of you, so is that correct?
I did not do this.
Do you recognize who you're depicted in that photo?
I do.
And so far as you can tell, what moment was that today?
This is when I am laying down in the aisle after I was forced to the ground. And this is around the time where my hands were tucked under, securing my airway.
Have you seen that photo before?
I've not seen this photo before.
But do you have any doubt in your mind that it's you there on the right?
I'm certain that's me.
Senator, State of the United States, Exhibit 18. No, good.
18 shall be admitted.
Permission to publish.
You may. Mr. Hunter, this is a good time for us to take our morning break. Launch
That
the
sounds great.
pause. Mr. Hanners, any objection to taking that?
There you go.
All right, this time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, we are going to take our morning break. Please, like mentioned previously, do not discuss this case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. Please do not form a decision on the merits of the matter until it has been fully submitted to you for your determination. We'll be back in 15 minutes.
All rise.
Everybody go off the restaurant. Thank you. We'll be back in 15.
Thank you.